Foxes have dens, birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Those are words Jesus said in this passage from Luke's Gospel. You may not know this, but just a couple of years ago, right here on 5 Point Road, less than a mile from here, there was a den of foxes living under somebody's front porch. And sometimes if you drove by, you were lucky to see a fox come out, or maybe one of the little ones. And I'd learned at last Mass that the little ones are called kits. I called them foxi. They're kits. Whereas birds of the sky have nests. Well, this year we had nests all over this place. There was a robin's nest in the flower garden over by the Parish Life Center, and people were watching it through the window. Just recently we had a robin nest right outside the main door here, and people were very cautious. I found a little nest in the ground, at the ground level of a ground sparrow. We had killdeer nests. We had nests for ducks, and I have no idea how many nests for the geese. But if you look, the den from the foxes is gone. These nests are empty. You know, in everybody's life, we have those seasons when we feel like nesting. We need to settle down. We need to find a place. We need to have a home. We make a home in a particular locale for lots of reasons. But there are also times in our life when we're on journey, when we need to move on, and we leave the nest behind. In this gospel passage, Jesus is saying, the foxes have dens, the birds have their nest, but the Son of Man is going to Jerusalem. And that becomes a major component of the gospel, the whole theme of moving on. We travel, sometimes literally, but certainly figuratively, we travel through life. So this Sunday, I'm leaving this nest and traveling on. And I've been thinking a whole lot about what to say in a final homily. And I came up with 4 points. And the beautiful thing about this is I'm going to announce which point I'm on so you know how far I am in the homily. The very first point is I need to, I want to, I desire to say thank you. It's the most important thing for me to say thank you for being part of the journey with me. Thank you for coming to the parish. Thank you for participating. Thank you for laughing when my jokes really aren't that good. And thank you for accepting the vision of what a Catholic parish can be. And our parish has a unique vision. It almost didn't happen. Go back 17 years in the year 2005, I had a lot of meetings with the bishop, at that time Bishop Blair, and we were talking about establishing this new parish. And one of the very last times I met with him was in June of 2005, and as we talked, Bishop Blair said, and Herb, I'm going to appoint you pastor of John the 23rd. We had already established the name. I'm going to appoint you as pastor of John the 23rd. But if it doesn't work out, I'll reassign you somewhere else. I said, wait a minute, Bishop, what do you mean, if it doesn't work out? And then he said, up in Detroit where he was from, 2 or 3 times they had tried to start a new parish and nobody would come. Well, that was all something new to me. I had not thought about that. So I was still living in Mansfield, so I had a long drive home that night. As I'm driving home, I'm thinking, if it doesn't work out, it's going to work out. Because I could feel and know that this was the work of the Holy Spirit. So I want to say thanks to all of you for helping it work out so that I didn't have to get reassigned to someplace else. Point number 2. Not only do I want to say thank you, I also want to apologize. I want to say I'm sorry for my failures. Now, if I failed because of my own personal limitations, that's one thing. But if I failed and if I was offensive because I was being insensitive or just not tuned in to somebody else, I am sorry for that. I know I'm not the perfect pastor, and I certainly am not the perfect priest. So I've made mistakes. Now, if I offended you because I challenged you with the gospel, I'm not especially sorry for that. But if I challenged you with the gospel in an unkind way, or was unwilling to really listen to you, I'm sorry for that. Point number 3, we're not finished. I don't think I ever consciously thought that the parish had to be completely in heaven before I could retire. I don't think I consciously thought that, but somewhere unconsciously it kind of seeped in that we had to have everything going perfect before I could move on. That everybody here would have full participation in the liturgy, that everybody would be engaged in the mission of the parish, that everybody would know what discipleship means and live it. I think unconsciously I sort of assumed that that was going to happen someday. There's still work to be done. And I am very happy to leave a little leftover for my successor. And point number 4. Because we've traveled together, we are all different now. We have been touched by each other's lives. In some cases here, and I look out, I've known some of you 35 years, going back to previous parishes. For some of you, maybe just a few years. For some, just a few months. There was a couple who came up to me after the last Mass and they said, "We're visitors, we're from out of town, but thank you for letting us be part of your journey." So maybe it's just a few minutes so far. When I was packing my house, I came upon a book that my oldest sister Millie gave me when I moved here. And Millie is now deceased, but she was quite a bit older than I, and she was my godmother and a very wise person. We had a wonderful relationship. And in the front of the book, she wrote about her own times of moving, and she and her husband had moved a number of times. And she said, "I've learned that every time I moved, I took with me something from where I had been. And every time I moved, I left behind something of who I am." What beautiful, wonderful words. I think for a pastor, that is especially true. We leave behind, hopefully, a lot of the ministry and a lot of the moments of being on holy ground together. But I take with me so much more. So we are all different because we've traveled side by side, hand in hand, together. That's beautiful. Those are the 4 points. But I've also been conscious that I'm not just leaving this parish, I'm also retiring after 48 years as a priest. So I've been trying to look at those earlier years. And I found myself going back to the very first homily I preached at my first assignment after I was ordained. By the way, I want you to know, I do not remember every single homily I've given in 48 years. But I do remember that first one. I was assigned to St. Mary's in Tiffin. It was about the 3rd weekend of June, 1974. And in my homily, I quoted from a song by Chris Christopherson. And some of you are kind of nodding your head. You know him. That shows your age. He was very popular at that time, a country singer who also did some gospel music. I was not an especially big fan of his, but somebody had introduced me to this song. And the song was, "Why Me, Lord?" And usually when somebody says the phrase, "Why me, Lord?" it's like everything's gone wrong. Like, "Why, Lord? Why are you picking on me?" This song was just the opposite. "Why me, Lord?" And the opening verse, "Why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the blessings you've shown? Tell me, Lord, what did I ever do that was worth loving you or the kindness I've known? Why me, Lord?" And in that first homily, I was talking about being ordained a priest and feeling so overwhelmed. Why would God pick me? 48 years later, I can say the very same words. Why me, Lord? What did I do to deserve all these wonderful blessings? It's free. I don't deserve it. I have been blessed. We have been blessed. And acknowledging that blessing is the beginning of that awareness of what life is all about. Thank you very much for being part of my life.